Good morning. I'm going to be assembling a couple of circuit boards here and doing some SMT reflow, and thought I'd do a video and show you how I go about it. So I begin with on the workbench as I get everything organized. I have my bill of materials with all the components listed. I've got all the resistors here in order of value, all the capacitors, some connectors and such. My assembly drawing, which clearly shows the reference designator of each part. A couple of boards, which I've already cleaned. And the oven we're gonna solder in. And the integrated circuit with them. So we'll start here with the solder stencil. And I've got this little jig worked up. And I made it so that it has something that doesn't fall back down on the solder. And I've got it set up so that these boards just fit in. I had to trim off the rough edges on the board. And I'm gonna set this camera down on the oven. I think that works pretty good. And make sure this fits in. So here's my solder. This is Kester EP256. So let's give it a shot here and put a little solder paste down. It takes very little. I was surprised at how little. Like, that's probably enough for several circuit boards right there. And it's always good to do this in one or two strokes. If you spend too much time on it, you're going to make mistakes. From OSH Park Stencils. And I've had pretty good luck with them. I like their boards, I like the stencils. Okay, so even if it's not like perfect, it's okay. As long as there's solder on all the pads, you can always do a little touch up, but mostly when the solder goes into the oven, it will, like if there's a little bit extra or something, it will fix itself because surface tension tends to pull it together. So I'm going to just clean this up a little here before I move on. Okay. We'll set this aside. Ready for the next step. Okay, I'm back. So I have my first component out, which is a 0.1 microfarad capacitor. And I have this little jar lid that I'm going to put the ones I need. I have 16 of those. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I'm going to add one extra because sometimes you lose one. Cut off the unused part. And okay, C1, C2, C5, and C6. Okay. And you just go and stick it down. And you do the best job you can. And if they're not, you know, like perfectly aligned, it's actually okay, because when the solder You can move the board as long as you're gentle, because if you jerk it, you're gonna move the parts and you will regret doing that. Put in, and just to make sure that I'm doing the right thing here, I've got my multimeter on diode check, and the LED turns on with the red probe on that side, and the black is on the stripe, which is exactly right. Okay, so pretty easy. I had these all lined up before I turned the camera on, so I knew they were right. Fortunately, that guy has a registration hole in the board. Come on, just plastic over this. Okay, there it is. There it is. All the parts are mounted. Now, we're gonna put it on my tray. This is the tray for the oven. And then once it's all set here, I wanna make sure I don't like jiggle it too much. I'll do a final inspection and I will make sure that everything is exactly aligned the way I want it. Okay, let me just kind of take a quick look here, make sure everything is good. Okay. So let's, I'm going to turn the camera off for just a second. So we're going to do the reflow. Now I want to be very careful. These, you know, they're not soldered yet. And this little tray in the oven tends to stick a little bit. So I just want to be very, very careful. Slide it in gently. It is. Okay. Now I think I'm going to hold the camera in my hand so you can see inside. Oh, hey, that works good. That works good. Okay, so close this. And just turn it on to 450. Medium toast. And I watch it. And I watch it until I see the solder flow, and I see every. Okay, let me get this at the right height here. It's going to take it. Okay, so I watch it. There we go. That's good. I don't know if you'll see it on the camera, but if I get good light in there, I will be able to see when all the solder joints flow properly. So I found that setting it to 425 is about right. It heats up nice, takes it a few minutes, and doesn't overheat it. And then I let it where I see everything flowing. Make sure the big ones and the little ones flow properly. And then I let it cool off just naturally. Uh-oh, is that right? I see a part in there that seems to be a little bit offset. I'm not going to touch it. I can only make it worse. I've done that before. There's one of the integrated circuits, that guy right there. It's close enough, it'll probably pull in. If it doesn't, I'll be able to rework it. Now this, by the way, I opened the garage door. I'm in my garage, and I opened the door to get good ventilation. You do need good ventilation because these guys, they smoke a little. And in fact, I can see smoke coming out now. And it's not good to breathe. I've been in factories that didn't have good ventilation, and it has made me sick before. Okay, it's up to 425. It's temperature cycling. So this is a Black & Decker toaster oven with a quartz element on the bottom and top. Okay, some of the solder has reflowed. Let me look at it. Yeah. Hey, I think we're done. Okay, I gotta move the camera out of the way so I can look real close at some of these. Yeah. It's done. Turn it off. Okay, it was nothing. I'm still letting it cool off. I want to be very careful. I've before have had trouble where I thought the solder had solidified, and I go and I pull this out, and then I ruin a board. So I want to be very careful. I just let it sit. So that part that was offset, it sure enough, it pulled itself in. Solder looks a little thin. I'm going to go for the thicker stencils next time. Okay, I'm going to let this sit here. It must be cool enough, yeah? Now I get a better look at it. Looks good. Don't see any problems yet. I'm going to let this cool off quite a bit before I pick them up. Beautiful, eh?